Our first day in Jerusalem with Dr. Fleming, we got to look at a model of Jerusalem put together by scholars during the course of 7 years. It's intended to look like Jerusalem did in 66 AD, just before the Romans destroyed it.
Scale is 1 to 60, so an inch would be about 6 feet high.
Since Jerusalem was supposed to be kept holy, bodies weren't allowed to be buried in it. Also in Hebrews 13:12 it says that Jesus was buried outside the city walls and he was crucified near there. So some commentaries say that the garden tomb in this map is where Jesus was likely buried, but the Church of the Holy Sepulchre was also outside the city walls in Jesus' time, and it's inside the walls of only the modern-day Old City. As we discuss the location of the crucifixion, please note that the walls of 66 AD enclose both potential locations, but that this third wall was not completed until shortly before Jerusalem fell, and that while Jesus was here, they only started building this third wall.
There's a quarry and an unquarried piece of rock in it. You see there's a few trees and a stone quarry going down and a rounded piece unquarried. That's where the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is.
And now to look at the site of the garden tomb in the model. We're now standing north of the wall made in 66 AD.
You can see the cliff where the garden tomb is. And is that an alternate place where the crucifixion could have been? We'll wait and talk about the area later. Church of the Holy Sepulchre is the most likely place archaeologically for the crucifixion. Remember, you would be burying outside the wall. So in Jesus' day, you could bury there. And the walls of that quarry became a cemetery. But a part of the quarry, the stone was very weak and it was left standing. A rounded hill in the middle was not made by raising the bridge, it was made by lowering the river. Within the one building of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, there's 5 stories difference in bedrock. Bottom of the quarry to the top of the unexcavated hill is 5 stories. It was a rough place to build a church with that much difference in the bedrock. There's a gate there called the Gennath Gate. If its origin is Hebrew, it would mean the garden gate. And there's a cared-for garden and cemetery. Remember, to Mary Magdalene, the mystery of the resurrected presence of Christ was suspected as the gardener. If Jesus' trial was at the Antonia fortress, the big garrison with 4 towers, the way to the cross would be from that flight of stairs to here. Today, it has many curves following the streets of the old city. The grid in Jesus' day was different than today, different than the Crusader period. Did you know the 14 stations of the cross are not observed until the Crusader period? So it is in the 1200s that 14 chapels were built by the Crusaders on the Crusader grid of Jerusalem to honor the journey from the Roman garrison, if that's where Pilate was, to the place of crucifixion. You can see another cliff just above the wall outside Damascus Gate. That's the garden tomb. Another Old Testament quarry that became recycled as a cemetery. It says this was an Old Testament quarry under the Church of the Holy Sepulchre that became a cemetery in the New Testament period. Old Testament stone quarries leave vertical cliffs, which are recycled as cemeteries, right? It's nice to have a wall entrance to a tomb rather than a floor entrance. One of the strongest evidences